So now you understand why when I say that her face has become synonymous to everything wicked, inhuman, evil, nastiness. You choose the name and she will perfectly, justify that.
And this is where I need the help of all of you, the members of the press, who join me in this briefing. As we mark 1 year of this conflict, please don't let it go uncovered. Don't let stories like the ones I heard in Chad go unheard. Don't let perpetrators of this horrific violence go unexposed, from the generals who started the war to the backers who continue to fuel it.
And right now is a time that every arms shipment, every bit fueling this conflict is something that pushes us closer to not only famine, but to a failed state.
Hello everybody. So do you know this lady called Linda Thomas-Greenfield? Of course you would know. If you have been following the events, unfortunate and tragic events of Gaza, you would know who this lady is, because her face has become synonymous to everything that is wicked, evil, inhuman. You just choose a name and she represents that, at least through her action, because she has been the person responsible for vetoing every ceasefire resolution on Gaza in the last 6 months. The fact that the last ceasefire resolution could be passed because Linda Thomas-Greenfield did not veto. Instead, she abstained. So we have to be grateful to her. We have to be grateful to her that she was not wicked enough, not evil enough to block the ceasefire, but still could not support it, so therefore abstained. But resolution was passed. You remember this incident when the president of the Security Council announced and he was conducting the vote, this lady raised her hand saying that she was abstaining.
Abstention. The draft resolution has been adopted as Resolution 2728, 2024.
Once the resolution was passed, she was quick to add a line to say that this resolution is non-binding. Therefore, it doesn't apply. Israel is not expected. America's pet child, Israel, is not expected to implement this. At that point, this is what she said. Remember, her last word, the careful insertion of the word non-binding.
It is deeply, deeply cynical, and we should all see through it. Colleagues, we appreciated the willingness of members of this council to take some of our edits and improve on this resolution. Still, certain key edits were ignored, including our request to add a condemnation of Hamas. And we did not agree with everything in the resolution. For that reason, we were unfortunately not able to vote yes. However, as I've said before, we fully support some of the critical objectives in this non-binding resolution.
Now, this lady, so now this context is clear. I needed to set this context so that I could talk about what has happened today. So this lady, Linda Thomas-Greenfield, along with American diplomat in Sudan, they both appeared at the State Department daily press briefing. And this lady just wanted us to believe just how concerned she is about the human suffering, and what a Mother Teresa like figure that she is, that she's been moved by these sufferings of people in the civil war in Sudan. And she wanted she questioned the silence of the world. She was questioning the silence of the world on this tragedy, and in fact she appeared quite unhappy that why the attention was being given to Gaza and not Sudan, which is now marking 1 year of the civil war. And then she decided to act like an editor-in-chief. So she started admonishing the press, not just admonishing, but she started dictating, and she expected the reporters to behave in certain manner from now onwards while writing or covering the tragedy in Sudan.
Finally, I want to talk about the lack of care, the lack of attention the world has paid to Sudan. Just 5 years after a revolution that offered a glimpse at a free, peaceful, democratic Sudan, people are losing hope. Aid workers have begun calling this conflict the forgotten war. Sudanese children are asking why the world has forgotten them. And let's be clear, I don't believe the dearth of attention is because people are ignorant or unfeeling. In fact, I believe it's the opposite. I believe it's because there are so many terrible crises, so much violence and pain, that people don't quite know which way to turn. And this is where I need the help of all of you, the members of the press, who join me in this briefing. As we mark 1 year of this conflict, please don't let it go uncovered. Don't let stories like the ones I heard in Chad go unheard. Don't let perpetrators of this horrific violence go unexposed, from the generals who started the war to the backers who continue to fuel it. Don't let the feeling that we've forgotten Sudan become a reality, because we need to reignite that spirit of revolution, the hope and promise that characterized this day 5 years ago. I'm counting on you, and the people of Sudan are counting on you as well.
Did you see her, the passion with which she was asking the reporters to cover or give coverage to the tragedy or the civil war of Sudan? I can't remember any of that concern, coming from her in the last 6 months for Gaza. So why this double standard and why this hypocrisy? So now you understand why when I say that her face has become synonymous to everything wicked, inhuman, evil, nastiness. You choose the name and she will perfectly, justify that. Because she is indeed concerned about, what is happening in Sudan, and we all should be concerned about, any human suffering across the world. But then we can't just cherry pick certain events and then completely ignore and block, the efforts to help people in those human sufferings, as she has done in the case of Gaza. So that was one bit. Another bit that she and her colleague talked about in today's press briefing was the fact that certain countries like UAE or even Egypt and even perhaps Iran was supplying arms to the groups involved in this civil war in Sudan. And according to her and her colleague, this was fueling famine.
I think we've been making very clear to all partners across the region that escalating the war at this time is something that is going to not only have increasing humanitarian costs, but actually risks destabilization of the entire region. We see a conflict that in some ways has been between two sides that shows signs of being increasingly factionalized in ways that brings in some of the tribal militias that have stayed neutral. It affects the ability of some of the neighboring countries that have tried to be constructive and not get more involved, to get pulled in. And right now is a time that every arms shipment, every bit fueling this conflict is something that pushes us closer to not only famine, but to a failed state.
The word famine. So she said that we have spoken to all those countries who we have identified as being the supplier of weapons, to this conflict, and we have told them to resist and refrain from doing so because they were contributing to famine in Sudan. Now remember, the reason why I'm emphasizing on the word famine is because we know how America reacted when famine was gripping to 2.2 million population in Gaza. And who was the supplier of arms to Israel? America. The country that this lady represents in United Nations. You have to admire her audacity. You have to admire her confidence. Confidence to come and talk to international press, with a straight face that, the countries should not be supplying weapons to fighting groups in Sudan because they were contributing to famine. However, it is perfectly fine for America to keep supplying weapons, including 2,000-pound bombs. 2,000-pound bombs. to Israel to continue to flatten Gaza, to continue to kill people for fun. And that doesn't contribute to famine. And America is not contributing to famine. Do you realize why there's so much of anger against America's hypocrisy? They have the audacity to come and address the media to, justify their shamelessness. And then they expect that, they will be applauded for their efforts. Thank goodness we are living in 2024 when nothing can be hidden. The world has seen the true colors of these so-called saviors of democracy. And enough is enough. Gone are the days that we can actually get away with your duplicity and double standard. Today was one such example that this American lady has exposed America so spectacularly. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do so, because that's one of the many ways you can support independent journalism. God bless you all.